Welcome back to Cheddar News. Are we suiting up or are we dressing down? Everyone is asking that question as some companies begin their return to the office. Those who work in formal offices are saying that they might actually even opt into wearing jeans once they return. That, of course, may be replacing the suits. One clothing company relying on the increase in casual wear is Kontoor Brands. Their portfolio includes Wrangler and Lee jeans. And joining us now is Scott Baxter, President and CEO of Kontoor Brands. Scott, you've just reported your second quarter earnings, including a 41% jump in revenue. You raised your full year guidance. Investors always love to see that. Let's just talk. Did you anticipate the $491 million in revenue? And if so, how early on? Because I know earlier this year, for example, many people were talking about the reopening and return to work would mean people dressing back up and not, wanting to get out of their jeans and sweatpants. But that doesn't seem to be happening.
Yeah, we've seen the trend, and obviously we see the inputs all along the process throughout the entire quarter. So we were pleased, with the revenue number and starting to see people return to work and starting to see people return to a little bit of normal and starting to see people shop again, which has been really great for all consumers and our retail partners.
Let's back up in time a little bit. Paint the picture for us in terms of the impact of the pandemic on sales and on business. Was it a tailwind, headwinds? Where did you start seeing any tailwinds or headwinds?
So, the impact was tremendous, for the entire industry last year. So one of the big issues was that, a lot of retailers had to shut down because of the COVID situation. People weren't shopping. And so you had to adjust your model real quickly. You had to have some real speed to action. And so what we did is we really amplified our digital strategy, and then we amplified our win with winners. So we were very fortunate that a lot of our biggest retail partners stayed open during the pandemic, like the Walmarts, like Amazon, like Target. So it was very helpful for us in our farm and fleet stores. And then over time, like a lot of folks, we started to see that resiliency and started to see the consumer start to come back. And over time, what happened was that you saw that after a period of time, styles changed, trends changed. People's sizing changed. People were either gaining weight or losing weight, working out or, being a little bit more sedentary. So they needed some different product and some different sizes. And now that we're seeing a little bit of a return to work and people doing things outside in venues and concerts and sports, activities, now we're seeing a pickup from a demand standpoint.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. The pandemic 15 or those who are working out and losing weight, that being an opportunity for your company. I want to go into trends over the past year and then really moving forward, because I know your company did a survey that really had some revealing results. Talk about that.
Yeah, we did a survey with our consumers, and our consumers told us that over 80% of them said, listen, I need to revamp my wardrobe coming out of the pandemic. Again, I need some new sizes, I need some new trends. And then another, part of that 80% also said that in their new revamp of their wardrobe, it's going to be more casual, and denim is going to be part of that. So that was a pretty big win for us. And then a pretty significant group of folks said that they're going to wear denim to the office. And another pretty significant group of folks said that they're going to make sure and they're going to see that their office place allows for more casualization. And really, we've seen that across the globe. We've already seen a lot of companies in big major markets like New York City, London, Paris have said to the workers that are coming back in, we want you to feel good. We want you to express yourselves. We know that you've been dressing casual at home, and we're going to allow a much more relaxed dress code going forward. So that's really good for us. We're positioned really well as that casualization trend takes place really globally.
Yeah, from casual Friday to casual anytime you're in the office.
Yeah.
Any insight into how long that trend could last? Is this here to stay essentially?
Yeah, I think that's the really big point, and I think that's a really great question because we really believe it's here to stay. I think like anything else, in life, and you see the big mega trends that have happened through time, once they take hold and people have that opportunity, they're not going to go ahead and give it back. And we don't see that happening at all. We see that next generation coming in, and they're going to come into the marketplace, the next generation of workers and folks, and they're going to see that trend, and it's going to be part of how they actually identify and how they come to work the first time they ever come to work. So they'll never, ever want to go back. So we see it as being, something that's going to happen, that's got a lot of stickiness to it, and it's just part of our future going forward.
Let's talk back to school season. I imagine that has to be a huge opportunity for your company, especially as we know that for the most part, as it stands right now, most students are expected to go back to in-person schooling. What kind of sales and growth are you expecting for that time period?
Well, I think there's a really interesting way to look at back to school this year. So, I mean, even for my own personal household, my son Kyler, he's 16. He hasn't bought any clothes for 2 years. So, if you take a 16-year-old from 14 to 16, I think he's gained about 30 pounds. He's grown about 4 inches. There's absolutely no way he can wear the clothes that he had before, and they're probably out of what he would call trend. So, if you take all of the folks and kids and boys and girls and young men and young women that are going back to school and adults that are going back to college, and you think about the growth that they've had, this is not a 1 year thing when you're buying school clothes when people just grow a little bit. This is a 2 year span. So people have changed dramatically. So we think that there's going to be a really good positive trend from a back to school standpoint this year because it's been a 2 year lapse, which we've never had a 2 year lapse before. And obviously, we all know that the difference between an 8 year old and a 10 year old, a 10 year old and a 12 year old, it's fairly significant, from a sizing standpoint.
And if you have a son, sometimes the difference between a 13 and a half year old and a 14-year-old is even larger there. Let's end with this.
Yeah.
What's the outlook for the next year, as we hopefully emerge from this pandemic? And then with that, I'll just add the Delta variant. What kind of wrench or how do you weigh in that variant?
Well, we're really hopeful that everybody is taking a lot of precautions. I think everybody has a playbook because we've all been through this pandemic together. I know that our employees' safety is first and foremost for us here at Kontoor. So we've been very cautious around the new variant, and we've adapted to a new flexible working model, which is working out really well for us. So we're cautiously optimistic going forward and hopeful that we can all get through this and that we can all, show each other a little bit of grace and work well together and make sure that, as an economy and as a country and as a global economy, that we can work well together, get through this together. And I would tell everybody, we've been through hard times before and we've been through really challenging times, and we'll see our way through this, as a country here real soon.
All right. Thank you so much, Scott Baxter, President and CEO of Kontoor Brands.